All right, great. Welcome everyone from Girls Inc. We are going to do a mini WordPress training to make it easy for you to make changes to this website. We have set this up on a visual composer called Elementor, and it is specifically very easy to use, which is why we love Elementor. So typically what you will do is you will log in to the back end of the website. That's typically at an address that's WP admin added to your domain. From there, you'll go to this screen, you'll see a login space where there's a username and a password. That's where you log in. And the first screen you see when you log in is this home screen on WordPress. It might look a little overwhelming on this screen where you're like, wow, there's a lot of things here on the left. There's a lot of things here that seem to be like telling me things. What is going on? Don't worry, it's very simple. So most people that use the website are going to stay within the posts or the pages. On the posts, that's your blog. So that's where you can add events, recent news, updates, etc. Pages are going to be the main pages of the website. The lovely thing about the way WordPress works is you could be here on the back end, or you can just navigate. Once you've logged in, at the very top of every page, you will see a navigation bar that's black here. So if I, for example, don't know where the home page is when I'm looking in pages, I can just navigate to different pages here. And all of a sudden I'm on the news and events page. And all I have to do is click this button, edit with Elementor, and it'll allow me to edit this page. So I'll give you a quick example. Let's say we're editing our About Us because maybe we've had someone on the board change out, right? That's maybe be a common thing. So we go edit with Elementor, and this pops up. Give Elementor a moment. And what you'll notice is we'll see the same page, but everything is clickable, everything is editable. So as you can see, if I click on something, it pops up here on my right where, oh, I could change a different image. I can add something new. I can click on this text right here, and I can actually add more text. Hello. Or remove it. Some things may be harder to change. So for example, the donations is associated with a plugin. So you can't make that change to this display here. It's somewhere else on the back end. And that may be where you need someone like myself to step in and help. But most of this, again, you can see I can click on every box of text. I can change it. Images, these images are what are called background images. So they are not quite in the right place that you would think they are. But if you go up here to either edit column or you edit with this little button here, you'll see that, oh, there's the image. It's right there on the back. So sometimes there's a little bit of hunting involved with Elementor, but everything is accessible. Everything is here. But I would say if at any point that you're trying to make these changes, you're spending too much time on this, that's when you reach out to a professional, right? Someone should not be spending hours trying to figure out, how do I change this one photo in the background, right? So feel free, like that's kind of my mile marker there for asking someone that knows what they're doing to help versus someone in your organization wasting too much time on it, if that makes sense. Because they probably can spend their time better. And again, you can flip out any of these on the page. So that's how you make page edits. Now, the areas that you cannot edit on a normal page are the menu here on the far right, or which is usually at the top, and then the footer here at the bottom. Those are separate areas of the website that you edit. Again, it probably is easier to reach out to me than try to make those changes yourself. Now, if we're done, we click update, and immediately any changes that we've made will go live on the website. Now, the great thing about Elementor too is, let's say you made a change and you go, oh no, what did I just do? Help. There's this wonderful little thing right here called history. So every time you're logged in, it is taking note of every change that you've made to this page. So if you make a mistake, that is perfectly fine. You click the clock and you undo it. You undo anything that you've done on the page.
So that is, it won't default back to the original settings.
Yeah, you can go as far back or as one step back as you want when you log in. So yeah, it helps keep track of all of that. And then it shows you also page revision. So what these page revisions are is it tells you when was all of the sessions, right? So we just made a change recently, but then you can see even a few weeks ago, we made changes, and you can roll back if you needed to. Okay, generally, if you make a mistake, you'll know it right away though. But go ahead.
Question also, if we added new photos,
Mhm.
right? Does the program automatically resizes them to fit into the blocks?
So not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily, no. Now, so oftentimes these photos have either been cropped to fit in the box areas that they are. The other thing to warn you about, just because of the way this website is set up with the menu here on the left, is that, as you can see, when you have Elementor open, it looks slightly different than the full screen version of the website. So that's the only other thing to kind of take note of, is that when you're editing, it isn't quite what you're going to see. So you always want to maybe switch with this little arrow between the views just to make sure you're like, oh, this image is perfect, right? But if I'm in this view, it looks like it's kind of cropped weird, right? So just make sure you're double checking in that way too. This is somewhat of a unique design feature of this website. So generally on websites, you're seeing the same view. All right, so then let's say we want to go back. We can click here to leave. Oh, sorry, click at the top 3 here, and then we go exit. Now you can't use the menu when you're in Elementor. If you tried to move to the programs page, it would not work because it wants you to be on that page. And then as you can see, we return, this is the back end of the page. Now, as you can see, when you're on this on the back end, you don't see anything. You do have to have Elementor open in order to see the page. But again, we can go back to our main home page, navigate to another page, click on Elementor and make changes to it. Now let's go to the blog. So the post page here is the blog. So anything that shows up here is going to show up on your blog page. And one thing I also note too is that when someone works on the back end, you can always have your site open so that you know what you're doing at that particular moment. So for example, if we're under news and events, which that's your blog, then I can see, okay, this is test post 1, 2, 3, etc., right? And then I see them here on the back end, test post 1, 2, 3 event, etc., right? Now you can click on one of these and make edits to this page. You don't have to use Elementor for blog posts, but you can. You can decide whether you want to use Elementor or not. If you're using this version, which is called the Gutenberg editor, it just has a little bit different ways of adding, for example, photos and things of that nature, and then changing the different code that you're adding and things like that. But I do think, and even I think, that Elementor is especially if you're doing graphic heavy things, is the easier way to add photos. But I can make edits to this post. Edit to. I click update here at the top, and it'll immediately update that live post.
Are like Elementor and probably a few other plugins, are they things that you've already paid for or we've paid for? Or
great question. So generally all of the plugins that are here on the back end are free. You can have paid plugins, and they do have more features when you have paid plugins. But they sometimes are not inexpensive and often reoccurring fees. If you want to upgrade any of the plugins to have more features and things like that, you can. But I'm big on not having too many messy things in the background that are charging you extra fees.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's say we want to add a new one. Right up here at the top, next to post, you can see add new. You can also add new directly from here under the posts as well too. And then we'll talk about the different areas that you have to add content. So you have a title here. So maybe it's join us at our educational event, right? So maybe that's the title. I do recommend being descriptive with your titles. So it could be in Wilmington, right? So where are we? Typically, what are we offering? This is an SEO practice, right? An SEO practice is I'm telling you what this is, where it is, so that if someone's searching for a girls' educational event in Wilmington, guess what? Your post will show up. But then also, I guess for events, you may want to have the date. So maybe it's November 13th. You probably don't want to get too long on these title. titles. So maybe instead of having join us, we just crop it a little bit. So then it's girls educational event, November 13th, right? Now you can add a block here, which again, this is the Gutenberg editor is what it's called. So this block can be, you just start typing. And I highly, highly, highly recommend do not write in WordPress. So have a Word document that you've written this content on, and I'm sure this is what you'd be pulling from anyway, to then pull into WordPress, because sometimes this can time out, and then all of that work you've been working on just disappeared on you. So it's always good to be doing this on a Word document, importing into here. You might have to do a little bit of formatting edits from that. November
Now, when
13th.
you say importing, you just mean like copy and paste.
Copy paste, exactly.
Okay.
Because she said something about,
Okay, so I'll show you this, and then I'll show you Elementor as well, so you can see both versions of this. Now, if I want to add a picture, I just go to the block here, and you can see it gives me a lot of different options. So image is one of the first ones, so I don't have to search, but I could search for other things. So I'm trying to think of, yeah, so you can see it has like headings, cloud, tag, team descriptions, tables. Don't recommend using tables generally. It's not considered mobile friendly, but it's there. TikTok, you can add a TikTok to this, Alexia. Woo! Twitter feed, a TED Talk. I don't think I've even seen that before. So there's a lot of different features that you can add to this. But again, typically you're pretty straightforward on the blog. You're adding text and images to this. For images, you can either upload or go to the media library. And you can also, once you've opened the media library, also upload there too. Maybe you didn't find what you were looking for. So let's say this is the picture.
Usually I do like everything off of Canva.
Mhm.
So is there a way to where I can just like add an attachment, you know, because it
There
doesn't
is.
save like a picture. It's like it's a PDF.
Correct. There is. However, I would not do that. So I would do a graphic picture with text. The reason being is Google cannot read a picture. So Google can only read text on the page. They also can't read videos. So if you have already made something in Canva, what I do is I copy the text that you've made, paste it in there. You can still use the graphic maybe as the title image, which I'll show you. But yeah, I wouldn't put just an image because then it's not searchable on Google.
Oh, great. So you're saying every time we put in text, keywords from, say, for instance, we have girl power, it'll come up, and then our website will come up.
Yes, sir.
Because that's a major way of advertising.
Yes, sir. And yeah.
So that's good. Also,
So and especially for like events and that sort of thing, you definitely want that to be searchable text that you have.
Well, I'm thinking in general that we have some type of page that kind of puts us in the probably top 3,000 or something when you put in girl power or girls need help, and then boom, the website comes up, even if we have a page that has that title on it. So it takes them directly to.
Yes, sir. And you were talking to the right person about that right now. That is actually one thing that my firm specializes in is SEO and how to get higher ranked for certain things.
Yeah.
So the kind of the short version of it is it's very much so content driven. So adding content to the website is vital to working on your SEO. So individual pages, and then try not to do something called keyword stuffing, which is that, okay, I'm going to have this one page and I'm going to put girls power and I'm going to put this, and I'm going to put that, and I'm going to put it. Then Google's like, I have no idea what this page is about. I don't know what you want to rank for. So it's one page per keyword. Sometimes you can play with it where you have maybe more than one keyword, like 2 on a page. But like, for example, this page would be, I would be SEOing girls educational event in Wilmington. That would be my SEO term because that's the title. That's going to be the content of that page. And there's a lot of other kind of parts of the algorithm that go into how you structure the content to be highly ranked, but that's the basics of it. And the blog is a great place for that. Okay,
because I'm thinking that we would add some like video media.
Yep. Video media is great too.
To the text. That page will be exactly for visibility. Not just for events, but visibility when somebody puts in this blank, 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 and then we pop up. And then when they investigate that video media will come up and then explain what Girls Inc. Delaware is.
Well, so you know who owns YouTube, right?
I do.
Google. Google owns YouTube. So what is the #1 search engine on the internet? Google. What is
Google.
the number 2? YouTube.
YouTube.
So YouTube, so you can add YouTube videos to your website. I do recommend doing it that way because then the video is not hosted on your website. It doesn't slow the loading speed of it. But also because on YouTube, if you're doing the same activities, right? So I have a title like this, Girls Educational Event in Wilmington.
Mhm.
That is also going to be searchable on Google. The content, the written content that you add to YouTube videos is searchable on Google. So that's also, again, another SEO strategy that people employ. But
Awesome.
but Google doesn't quite yet have the technology to read the videos or read images, right? So they have a hard time when it's like so for example, the content in the video, maybe there's a, speech that somebody's giving or something like that. It can't read that content. And so oftentimes you want to have content in the description of that video that represents the content of the video, because that's the way Google indexes everything, is just by written word. But I think it's coming. I think it's coming that, Google's getting there. So at some point it won't be so manually arduous for all of us.
And somebody else has developed that technology already. So
Yep.
I've seen it.
Yep.
So,
Miss Heather, so I just sent you, like, this week we're kicking off the stepping group and I created a flyer. So I just emailed it to you. So if you could like show me how you would go about it, that would be really helpful. So when it's my turn to do this,
Perfect. Let me see.
I just emailed it to you. So I know that you said like have a descriptive title. So when people look it up, it will come up on Google, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, let's do that then. All right, so
And this event will be kicking off Friday.
oh, great.
So this is like perfect.
Oh, this one's a PDF. Okay, give me one moment. So PDFs have, you can upload PDFs to WordPress. However,
You can't manipulate it.
because of the technology, because of Adobe, right? You have to either embed it on the page where it shows the PDF, which makes it a little bit arduous for you to try to embed it on a page because you have to code it. Or what I typically do is if I get a PDF from somebody, I will open up the PDF and then I will just take a screenshot of it to change that PDF into
A Word
A
Okay.
document.
JPEG or something.
yeah,
Okay.
exactly, into an image. And then that way on the page, it lives as an image, but it's still the same flyer that you've created.
Mhm.
So
I
let
love that picture.
me-
Isn't that picture fierce? I love that
Awesome.
picture.
Zoom out.
They mean that thing.
That is fierce.
Mm-hmm.
I was oh wowing on this end, and it told me that I was on mute.
You can still oh wow it, John. We
Mhm.
won't judge you. It's okay.
I know. Well, I'm just oh wowing it.
Stepping. All right, save. Okay, so now though, what I could do, if you're in Canva or if you're on a PDF, you can, let's say, copy this content here. We'll see if it, sometimes PDFs are not going to be the best with regards to formatting, but let's see. Fingers crossed. We don't have to do any extra work today. All right, open. So I've uploaded the file, the image here,
Mhm.
select it, and it'll put the image on the page.
Mhm.
Cool.
So perfect. However,
Perfect.
again, as we talked about, Google doesn't read this, right? So
Right.
I take the content here, right? And then I just put it on the page. And now there's a little bit of formatting and things like that that you can do to make it a little bit more attractive, right?
Okay.
Because as you know, because it was in a PDF, it wasn't. I'll do registration is now open. And again, it looks great on that page, but you might want to, for example, just edit it slightly, right? For a little bit. $50 for the entire school year. Denison Center. And then there are different capitalizations that you can do. So for example, I changed this from paragraph to a heading. And what that does is that tells Google, but it also on the page just makes it stand out. And now these headings can change where, let's say you're like, that's too bold. I don't want it that big. You can change it to an H3 versus an H2, doesn't really matter. Phone numbers on the page can also be linked. How you link a phone number is you go TEL : and then the phone number. And now on desktop, obviously people can't call, but generally 70% of the website traffic is mobile. So when you do that, it makes it instantaneous that someone can call this number on
They
mobile.
don't even have to go back and forth to see what the number is.
Exactly.
I love it. I love that. I use that all the time. My old eyes can't keep going back and forth.
Or copy paste, however people are struggling to do it these days. right?
Yeah, it's
So-
ridiculous. When I see it lit up like that, I get excited.
And then what I would do is
I guess like girls stepping program.
Mhm. And is this, it
This
is
week,
Wilmington. Okay.
yes, and it's the 21st of October. Yeah, I don't think you need the time. The time is said further down.
Perfect. Okay, so we've set this
Awesome.
page up. Now what I would do here on this side, under post, so you have a couple of different options. You can publish it, you can leave it as a draft if someone needs to review it. It can also be private if you need someone to review it before it goes fully public. So there's a lot of options there in case you need to review things. Permalink. Now the permalink is going to change once we publish it, but what that is just what's the web address of this.
Mhm.
Categories, we don't have any on the website right now, but we can add some. So this could be the events category. You could have sponsor category, you could have, and you just add that category and it automatically selects it for you. Tags, think of this as like hashtags, right? So some of the topics of the post, right? Maybe even where it is, right? Girls Inc. events near me. So you can put as many tags as you want in this section. Generally, that's representing just the content that's in the post. And these are searchable. So what tags do and what categories do is they create categories and tags on your website. So believe it or not, when someone searches for Girls Inc. events near me, even if you don't have a page on it, because you've added this tag, it actually adds a page to your website where people can then find it, even if there's no content on that page. So it's useful to be using that feature. Featured image. This one's important because this is what will show up on the blog reels that you see on the website. Now it may not be that you want the flyer to be this, because then the flyer's showing up as that preview image. But what we could do is I'll upload another version of this same file. And then what we're going to do is we'll crop it just to be that really dynamic dancing picture. And again, you can crop it, outside of WordPress as well too. But so we just go into
Heather,
crop
while
here.
you're cropping, I have to jump because I have
Yep,
to
don't worry.
drive to a meeting.
Don't worry.
Yolanda, you're on my schedule for the 20th.
Awesome. Love
Uh,
you, John. Thank you so much for everything.
Yep. See you guys.
And when you come,
John.
when I come back, we're gonna have lunch, right?
Yes, ma'am.
With Maria and the other lady and Rollo, we all get together and we can kind of brainstorm next steps.
Sounds good.
All right, you take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
And then this excerpt can also appear on those pages. And so you can write anything here that you want to be the excerpt that shows up, and I'll show you where that shows up. And then that's it. So you've done all of this. You go push the publish button at the top, publish. And boom, it'll be instantly live. Well, almost instantly live, depending on your internet connection. So then if I go back to the blog page here, we should see it show up. And there it is, right there with that beautiful, gorgeous image. And you can see there's the description that we wrote. And then it has the date that we're publishing it. That might be the only one where, again, that's why you want to be specific what date this is versus the date that you're publishing it, if that makes sense. And you do want to publish it in advance, obviously, to get the word out. So I always recommend that once you've published something, just double check how it looks online. Occasionally there can be kind of like weird formatting issues where you're like, oh, look, that space is off. Maybe we should adjust that space. It just is a double check to make sure that everything looks the way you want it to look. Any questions on that? And if not, I'll show you the Elementor version as well too. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go to edit with Elementor, and we could have done this from the beginning, is do it in Elementor, you'll see something very similar. In fact, it's probably a little bit more user-friendly. So you'll see this is the post. This is the content for the post. This is the image that we've added. And actually the way it added images, at least in this case, because we use the other editor, is it added it here in the text, which you can always do. Anytime you have text on the page, you can add the image in here. And I'll show you right up here, add media button. We'll add it to this text box here. But if you're in Elementor, you can also add it on the page. So this little square here shows you all the different functions of Elementor. Now, the ones you see with locks, those are the ones that if you have the pro version, then it unlocks it. So you have all of these features. But you have not only the basic Elementor ones, but you also have an add-on that I've added. So these EAs are add-ons. It's a free add-on that adds a lot more like fancy things like progress bar, info box, pricing table, sticky video, team member, et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of a nice, again, it gives you a bunch of different add-ons that you can do on Elementor, but you'll see since photo, obviously images are one of the big things here. Now you can click this and it'll automatically add it to the bottom of the page. You can also drag it to exactly where you want it on the page. And then you see it pops up. You just have to go in here. You pick your image again. You insert your image and that's it. You click update. It'll update the live page to not only have the title image here and the text, but it'll also have another image here at the bottom. Any questions? And what I would encourage you to do, Alexia, once the website is live, I can give you a login right now to the website. It's not quite, obviously it's not launching yet, but play around. Ask me any questions that you have about playing it around, when you're playing around with it. And then, yeah, you should be ready to rock and roll. Let me add
Is
you.
there a section on here that I can upload the newsletter?
Yeah, so this could be it. I think the blog is an appropriate place for your
Okay.
newsletters. But I think one of the things to do is just make sure you have some text when you're uploading, so it's not just one giant image, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was going to say, one of the challenges is going to be before you actually make it a PDF, if you do anything in Word, or before you make it a PDF, when you save it, that's what you should be uploading, not anything out of Canva or not anything that's a PDF. That's the main thing I heard today.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. And you
So
can
they-
attach, and actually, you know what? I'll show you that in just a minute. You can attach a PDF where someone can click a link to download the PDF if you want to do that as well.
That's good. Now that's good to know, because that's what we want to do. We want to stop sending out the newsletters and printing so many copies. We would just rather send an email out or have them search it up and find it online.
Alexia, what's your email?
It's A and then my last name, ROSSIGNOLI at girlsincde.org.
Perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to add you as a editor. This
Okay.
gives you almost full control of the website. You just can't
Okay.
add plugins and things like that. It keeps you out of the developer space.
Okay.
Not that, like, again, I don't think you could possibly mess up the website.
Okay.
It's not really mess upable, if that makes sense, but just in case.
And
but
can you
should give
just
you
add,
every-
can
Yes,
you
ma'am.
add at this point, can Rollo and Jack be editors as well, or can you only do one person?
So Jackery has a login right there.
Okay, so Rollo needs one.
Okay, perfect. And then I would say try not to make too many changes because we're going to launch soon. So if for some reason in that launch, well, actually, you know what? That's not true. Go ahead and make changes. You will not have a problem.
Alexia, it's all on you.
And what is Rollo? What's your
Same thing, Rollo Robinson. No, I'm sorry, R. Robinson.
Oh.
Yeah, just the R.
But his last name. I'll put it.
Mhm, right.
So when are we launching?
We have a few outstanding items that we need before it launches. So we don't have it yet.
And the same back is at girlsincde.org. Thank you, Heather.
You're
Is it
welcome.
Robert?
Is that Robertson? No, it's
Robert-
Robertson. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Robertson, sorry.
Robertson, Robertson. And we have a few outstanding things.
Yeah, so as we talked about before, Jack and I need to connect on your payment system,
Yep.
the email, the board picks. I don't know if you want to wait to launch for the board picks or you want to launch and then we'll add the board picks.
Wait for the board picks.
No, we'll wait, and because we also have to
Some
do,
ads.
and we also have to add, Rollo's pick in his bio, we need to add him there. So like Alexa will have a list of things that she will definitely have to, fix, because we're not sending that back over to you. You already created it. It's done. You gave them access to go in and do it. I'll work with her to customize it and get it how we want it. So
Perfect.
at this point, we're letting you go with that.
So is there a minimum of pages that we can have, correct? 'Cause we don't want
Say
it to be
again?
Huh?
Sorry?
We don't want it to be super long, the website, but we want it to be interactive for people to,
And we've already created all of that. All the pages are done, I'm gonna send, you have Rollo's email. Can you send him the link so he can take a look at it on his own so he can see what we already created?
Yes, I'll send you the
Thank
link
you.
and then I'll also send you
It's
my
already-
notes.
So it's just gotta tail it a little bit and then just send live.
okay.
Yeah, and then there's SMTP, which Jack and I will have to connect on as well too.
Okay,
Okay, so let's talk about the link here. So let's say I want to link the PDF for your full newsletter, right? Download the newsletter here. You can, any word on this page, you can link to a PDF. And the way I'd recommend doing this, look in your media folder, because if you remember, I already uploaded the PDF right here.
Mm.
You grab the URL, so you just copy it from the back end. And instead of inserting in a post, what we're going to do is we're just going to link this word open to the PDF. So anyone that clicks on that link there can download the PDF for either your newsletter or the flyer, anything like that. I'd recommend that's the way you do the downloads for PDFs because it's easier than trying to embed on the page, if that makes sense.
Okay, got it.
All right.
got it, Alexia?
Yeah.
You look a little nervous. You can
No.
do it. You've been
Well,
doing
this is
everything
my
else.
first time ever doing running a website. So it's a little nerve-wracking, but I know if I have any questions, I can always email you.
Yes, ma'am. And then also Elementor has a lot of, both Elementor and WordPress has a lot of help articles online. So when in doubt, you can always Google X amount WordPress, X question Elementor, and you
Right.
should be able to find a help article. Because even for me, sometimes there are things that I'm like, that's an interesting one. How do I fix this one, right? And so those help articles can be very helpful as well too. And they do sometimes, I mean, again, YouTube being this amazing, they'll have YouTube videos on how to do X, Y, and Z. They'll have, so there's all sorts of resources out there as well too. And in fact, you might ask me a question, I might be like, here's the YouTube video.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I thank you all for joining me today. And then I will also send you the link, the cloud link to this website. What I would do is I would download the video from that cloud link so that then you keep that video somewhere so that you have it as an organization. So anybody that wants to learn how to use the back end of the website will have this video as well.
This has been phenomenal. Heather, as I said always, you have exceeded our expectations. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited for you guys too.
One last thing, these little, I guess, icons, those
Mhm.
4, are they already linked?
They are already linked, correct?
You got that? Okay, yeah, I know you got the Instagram up.
Mm,
So yeah,
yes,
because I had
ma'am.
sent her the login, so when people go on the website, they can just click that little Facebook circle and then it brings them to the Facebook.
Yes,
My
ma'am.
question is the IN, that's my personal page?
It is,
or
yes.
It is my personal page.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna have to
I
create
can
one for the,
create- that's on my list of things to do is to create a LinkedIn for Girls Inc.
Mhm.
So I guess once I have that password and username, I can send it, you can switch it out, I guess, right? Because that's
Yep.
like something I can't access, right?
So you can access it, but it's in kind of two different locations. So yeah, it's probably better to ask me.
Okay,
And
I'll
then-
send you that information then.
and then when it talks about us and all of our different, staff, meet our board, that's when I can have my, my link to my personal page there under me,
Yes.
correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and
And
I would
Rollo
say too,
his and-
as just a kind of a cleanup, follow-up, that sort of thing. I'll also send you over some, we can do a contract at any time that you need to do what are called ad hoc web edits. So
Yeah,
what
please
that is
send
is
that
that-
over, because
Okay,
my
perfect.
original contract was between Girls Inc. and John. Now I need one between you and I. And then also to really help us to really make sure that we're getting the visibility we want throughout the state.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Absolutely. Well, it's good to talk to you. Thank you so much. And this won't be the last time we talk. We'll talk soon. And Jack, you
Alright.
and me will definitely talk soon.
Yeah, all right, sounds good, Heather.
All right, have a
Jack,
good one, everybody.
can you stay on? I'll call you right back, Jack. I need you
All
to
right.
log into my computer. I'm gonna call you back.
Ten four.
Alexia, can